I wasn't even discharged from the hospital when my pilot husband divorced me and married a flight attendant. Don't come back, he texted. I replied with a screenshot, $30,000. Minutes later, his calls came shaking with panic. The screenshot loaded on my phone at 11:47 a.m., somewhere between gate checks and a mandatory crew briefing. Bank of America, account balance. A number with too many zeros. $30,000. I stared at it. The break room coffee tasted like burnt metal. My co-pilot was talking about overtime schedules, but his voice sounded underwater. Sophia had just sent me $30 million. No message, no context, just the screenshot. My wife, the woman I'd served divorce papers to 3 days ago. The woman currently recovering in St. Agnes Medical Center from what her doctor called acute exhaustion and dehydration. The woman I'd texted, don't come back, while she was still wearing a hospital wristband. I need to back up. My name is Trevor Ashford. I'm a commercial airline captain for Delta. Been flying international routes for 12 years. I've landed 777s in thunderstorms over the Atlantic. I've made split-second decisions at 35,000 feet with 300 lives, depending on me staying calm. I thought I was good at reading situations. I was catastrophically wrong. 6 months ago, Sophia quit her job, just walked away from some corporate position she'd held for years. She came home one Tuesday evening, kicked off her heels and said, I resigned today. I was in uniform, just back from a Frankfurt run. You what? I resigned, gave them 4 weeks notice. I'm done. She said it so calmly, like she was commenting on the weather. I waited for the explanation, the plan, the backup job offer. Nothing came. Why? I finally asked. She shrugged. I need a break from a career at 34 years old. Sophia, what are you going to do? Figure it out as I go. That was it. That was the entire conversation. Over the next few months, I watched her unravel. She was home all the time. Not job hunting, not networking, just sitting at her laptop for hours, looking exhausted, taking calls in the other room with the door closed, sleeping until noon some days. I'd come back from London or Tokyo and she'd barely acknowledge me, dark circles under her eyes, coffee cups everywhere, wearing the same sweatpants for 3 days straight. Are you even looking for work? I asked once. I'm handling it, she said. Didn't look up from her screen. Handling it. That became her default answer to everything. The bills kept getting paid, the mortgage cleared, but I was making $180,000 a year as a senior captain, and I knew my salary was covering everything now. She'd become dependent on me. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it constantly. My independent, successful wife had just given up, and I started feeling trapped. Nicole Chen entered the picture in February. She was new to our crew rotation, 27, flight attendant working first class on the international routes. Pretty in that effortless way some people are, always smiling, always laughing at my stories in the galley. She made me feel like the person I used to be. Not the guy coming home to a dark house and a wife who barely spoke. Not the guy carrying the full financial weight while his partner spiraled into whatever this was. Nicole made me feel like Captain Ashford again, the guy who landed planes, the guy people looked up to. We started texting after flights. Nothing inappropriate at first, just friendly. She'd send me memes about aviation. I'd reply with stories from my early training days. Then one night in Amsterdam, after a 17-hour duty day, we had drinks at the hotel bar. Your wife's lucky, Nicole said, swirling her wine. You seem like the kind of guy who takes care of people. I laughed bitterly. You'd think. Trouble at home? I shouldn't have said anything, but I was tired. I was lonely, and she was looking at me like I mattered. She quit her job 6 months ago, I said. Just decided she didn't want to work anymore. Now she sits at home all day while I'm flying across oceans, and I can barely get her to have a conversation. Nicole's expression shifted. Sympathetic, concerned. That must be so hard for you. It was hard, and Nicole understood that. 3 weeks ago, Sophia collapsed. I was in Seattle on a layover when I got the call from St. Agnes Hospital. She'd been brought in by ambulance. Severe dehydration, exhaustion. They were running tests. Is there anyone who can pick her up tomorrow? The nurse asked. She shouldn't be alone. I looked at my schedule. I had a return flight to Atlanta in 6 hours, then a turnaround to Paris the next morning. I'm working, I said. She'll have to get an Uber. The nurse paused. Sir, your wife is in pretty rough shape. She really should. I can't change my schedule. Thousands of passengers depend on me showing up. That wasn't a lie. It was also not the whole truth. The whole truth was that I was tired of carrying her weight, tired of being the only adult in this marriage, tired of coming home to someone who'd given up. I hung up and looked at my phone. Nicole had texted me 20 minutes earlier. Drinks when you're back? Miss you. I responded before I could second guess myself. Miss you too. The divorce papers were filed 48 hours later. I used Lawrence Campbell, a family law attorney with 18 years of experience, recommended by my co-pilot. We met in his downtown Atlanta office, mahogany desk and diplomas covering every wall. Walk me through the financials, Campbell said, pulling out a yellow legal pad. I make $180,000 base salary plus per diem, I said. She quit her job 6 months ago. No income since then. The house is in both our names, but I've been paying the mortgage since February. Assets? Joint checking account about $24,000. Savings maybe $15,000. The house is worth $680,000. We owe $320,000. Campbell took notes. And she hasn't contributed financially since she quit. I don't even know what she does all day. He nodded slowly. Georgia is an equitable distribution state, but given the circumstances, her voluntarily leaving employment and your continued support of the household, we can make a strong case that you shouldn't owe alimony. How long have you been married? 8 years. Kids? No. That simplifies things. He clicked his pen. I'll draft the initial filing. We can serve her this week. I signed the retainer agreement, $5,000 upfront. It felt like the first thing I'd controlled in months. The papers were served while she was still in the hospital. I didn't plan it that way. The process server just happened to find her there. She signed the documents at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, according to the timestamp Campbell sent me. I was in the crew lounge at Hartsfield-Jackson when I got the confirmation text. Divorce papers delivered and signed. She's been notified of the 30-day response window. Nicole was sitting across from me, scrolling through her phone. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. Just handling some paperwork. She smiled, reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You deserve to be happy, Trevor. I believed her. That night, I texted Sophia. I told myself I was being practical, setting boundaries, making things clear. Don't come back. This house doesn't support the unemployed. I hit send before I could overthink it. Then I sent the photo, me and Nicole at dinner the night before, her hand on my arm, both of us smiling, comfortable. I wanted her to know I'd moved on, that I wasn't waiting around for her to get her life together. I wanted her to feel what I'd felt for 6 months. Invisible, unnecessary, replaced. She didn't respond. I put my phone away and went to meet Nicole for dinner. The screenshot arrived the next morning. I was in the break room. Pre-flight check in 30 minutes. Coffee in hand. Normal day. Then my phone buzzed. Sophia. First message since I'd served her papers. Just an image. No text. I opened it, expecting, I don't know, a hospital bill. A lawyer's response. Something petty. Instead, $30,000. I blinked. Read it again. Bank of America. Personal checking. Account name, Sophia Marie Ashford. $30 million. My hands went numb. I zoomed in on the screenshot. Looked for Photoshop artifacts. Checked the date stamp. Today. This morning. 9:47 a.m. This was real. My wife, my unemployed, checked out dependent wife, had $30 million. I called her immediately. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. 4 more times. Nothing. I opened my laptop and logged into our joint account, the one I'd been monitoring for months, making sure the bills cleared from my deposits. Balance. $1,247.83. She'd emptied it. Transferred everything out except what was needed to keep it open. I felt something cold slide down my spine. I called Lawrence Campbell from the crew parking lot. Trevor, I'm with another client. She has $30 million. Silence. What? My wife, Sophia. She just sent me a screenshot of her bank account. $30 million. How the hell does she have $30 million? Campbell's voice shifted. Sharper. More focused. Did she inherit it? I don't know. She's been unemployed for 6 months. She was a mid-level manager at some tech company. Where would she even? Trevor, stop talking. Don't send her any more messages. Don't communicate with her at all until I figure out what this is. He hung up. I sat in my truck staring at the screenshot. Sophia. Quiet, exhausted. Checked out Sophia. $30 million. What the hell had I just done? Campbell called back 2 hours later. I did some preliminary research, he said. His tone was different now. Careful. Almost apologetic. Does the name Arcadia Logistics mean anything to you? No. It's a supply chain and freight management company. Privately held. Just sold to a private equity firm last week for $90 million. My chest tightened. So your wife was a co-founder. One of 3. She owned a 33% stake. The world tilted. No. She worked for some tech company. She never mentioned. She kept her name off public records. Silent partner arrangement. It's legal and not uncommon for people who want privacy. I couldn't breathe. She's been building this company for 3 years, Trevor. While you thought she was unemployed, she was closing a $90 million acquisition. Her cut after taxes is right around $30 million. I heard the words. I understood them individually. Together, they didn't make sense. Why wouldn't she tell me? Campbell's silence was answer enough. Because I never asked. Because I assumed. Because I'd already decided she was worthless. Trevor, Campbell said quietly, the divorce just became significantly more complicated. Nicole called me that evening. I was sitting in my truck outside an airport hotel in Cincinnati. Flight schedule blown because I'd called in sick. Hey, I heard you weren't feeling well, she said. Are you okay? I need to go. What? Trevor? What's wrong? This was a mistake. All of it. Her voice shifted, sharper. What are you talking about? Us. This. I shouldn't have. Are you seriously doing this right now? She laughed, but it wasn't friendly anymore. You spent 3 months telling me how terrible your marriage was, how your wife had given up, how you were carrying her dead weight. I was wrong. Because she has money now? That's what this is about? Yes. No. It was about everything. She was never unemployed, I said. She was running a company, building something, and I was so busy assuming she'd failed that I never saw it. You're going to throw away what we have because you feel guilty? There is no we, Nicole. There never was. I hung up. For the first time in 6 months, I felt like I could see clearly, and what I saw made me sick. I tried calling Sophia again. Voicemail. Every time. 12 attempts across 2 days. I sent texts. We need to talk. Please call me. I made a mistake. Delivered. Read. No response. On the 3rd day, a message came through. Not from Sophia. From a number I didn't recognize. Mr. Ashford, this is Patricia Valdez with Kendrick and Sterling LLP. I represent Sophia Ashford in your divorce proceedings. Please direct all future communication through this office. Any direct contact with my client will be documented as harassment. I stared at the message. She'd hired a lawyer. A real one. Not a quick filing attorney like Campbell. I Googled the firm. Kendrick and Sterling. High high-rise office in Buckhead. Partners included former judges and a legal analyst for CNN. These weren't divorce lawyers. These were scorched earth lawyers. The counterfiling arrived by courier 5 days later. I signed for the envelope at 6:30 a.m., still in my uniform from an overnight return flight. Inside, 47 pages of legal documentation. I read the first page 3 times before the words registered. Response to petition for dissolution of marriage. Counterclaim for fraud. Breach of fiduciary duty and equitable distribution of marital assets. Filed by Patricia Valdez, Esquires, on behalf of Sophia Marie Ashford. My hands were shaking. The document laid out everything. Every late-night call I thought she was hiding. Those were investor meetings across time zones. Every time she looked exhausted, she was negotiating distribution contracts. Every closed-door conversation. Legal discussions. Due diligence reviews. The unemployment I'd mocked her for? She'd been closing a deal that would set her up for life, and I'd accused her of giving up. Page 17 detailed the house. The house I'd told her not to come back to. The house I'd been so proud of. Purchased in 2019 with a down payment of $180,000. Source of funds, Sophia's personal savings. My contribution, $0. The mortgage I claimed to be paying alone, joint account funded 70% by returns from Sophia's private investment portfolio. I'd been living in her house, supported by her money, while calling her unemployed. Page 23 was worse. It listed every text message, every photo. Time-stamped evidence of my relationship with Nicole, including messages sent while Sophia was in the hospital. Exhibit G, text message sent by petitioner at 10:42 p.m., February 18th. She's in the hospital. I don't care. I'm done. I didn't remember writing that, but there it was. Documented, permanent. The final page was a proposed settlement. Sophia would keep the house, the investment accounts, her business proceeds. I would keep my pension, my 401k, my truck. No alimony, no shared assets. Clean split. All I had to do was sign. There was a handwritten note paperclipped to the last page. Sophia's handwriting, small and precise. You called me unemployed while I was building something you couldn't even imagine. You texted me from a hospital bed to tell me I was worthless. You paraded your replacement in front of me before I was even discharged. Sign the papers, Trevor. You've already lost everything that mattered. I called Lawrence Campbell from my truck. They sent you the counterfiling? He asked. Did you read it? I did. And? He sighed. Heavy. Tired. Trevor, you need to sign it. Just like that? Just like that. If you fight this, they'll bury you. The text messages alone are devastating. The fact that you were in a relationship with someone else before filing? Georgia courts don't look kindly on that. I didn't know. It doesn't matter what you knew. It matters what you did. I leaned my head against the steering wheel. What if I want to fight for the marriage? Campbell laughed, bitter and short. With what? She has $30 million and a law firm that charges $800 an hour. You have pilot salary and a reputation you just torched. This isn't a fight you can win. He paused. And honestly, I don't think it's a fight you deserve to win. I signed the papers on a Tuesday morning. Patricia Valdez's office, 23rd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Atlanta. She was 50-something, gray hair pulled back, reading glasses on a chain. She looked like someone's elegant grandmother. She watched me like a prosecutor. Mr. Ashford, she said calmly, my client wants you to understand something before you sign. I looked up. She didn't send you that screenshot to hurt you. She sent it so you would finally see her. Because in 8 years of marriage, you never once asked what she was working on. You never asked why she resigned. You just decided she'd failed and moved on. I didn't respond. Couldn't. She was building something extraordinary while you were texting your flight attendant. She was closing deals and negotiating contracts while you were telling her not to come home. And when she ended up in the hospital from exhaustion, you served her divorce papers. Valdez slid the documents across the table. Sign. I picked up the pen. My hand was shaking. I signed every page, initialed every clause. When I finished, Valdez collected the papers without a word. That's it? I asked. That's it. I stood, walked to the door. Mr. Ashford? I turned. Valdez was looking at me over her glasses. No expression, just cold assessment. She gave you everything. Her time, her support, her financial security, and the moment you thought she had nothing left to give, you threw her away. She closed the folder. I hope it was worth it. The divorce was finalized 60 days later. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Marietta, 1,200 square feet, builder grade everything. Nicole stopped returning my calls after the first week. Heard through the crew grapevine that she'd requested a transfer to the West Coast routes. My co-pilot stopped inviting me to poker nights. The other captains were cordial but distant. Word had spread. Not through Sophia. She never said anything publicly, but people knew. They always know. I saw her once, 3 months after the papers were signed. Hartsfield-Jackson Terminal. I was heading to a gate. She was walking through Concourse B with a rolling suitcase and a coffee. She looked different. Rested, confident, hair shorter, better clothes. She looked like someone who'd been carrying weight and finally put it down. Our eyes met across the terminal. She didn't slow down, didn't smile, didn't acknowledge me at all, just kept walking. And I realized something that made my chest ache. She wasn't angry anymore. She'd already moved past me. I was a closed chapter, a lesson learned, nothing more. 6 months later, I was scrolling through LinkedIn during a layover. Her profile popped up in my feed. Sophia Ashford, founder and managing partner, Arcadia Ventures, new company. Venture capital focused on logistics and supply chain innovation. The summary read, investing in founders who build quietly and deliver loudly. There was a Forbes article linked. How Sophia Ashford turned $30 into a revolution in supply chain investing. I clicked it. The first line made me close my laptop. 3 years ago, I learned an important lesson. The people closest to you often see you the least clearly, so I built something they'd never see coming. I still fly international routes. Same airline, same uniform, same job. But everything else is different now. The apartment is smaller. The paychecks go further because there's no one else to support. I'm alone. Not lonely in the way you feel after a breakup. Lonely in the way you feel when you realize you destroyed something irreplaceable because you were too arrogant to see its value. Sometimes, late at night in hotel rooms across Europe or Asia, I think about that text message. Don't come back. This house doesn't support the unemployed. I remember typing it. Remember hitting send. Remember feeling powerful, righteous, like I was finally drawing a line. I didn't know I was drawing a line between myself and the only person who'd ever believed in me unconditionally, who'd supported my career moves, my schedule, my dreams, who'd built an empire quietly while I was busy being seen. I lost her because I never learned to see her. And $30 million was just the price tag on a lesson I should have learned for free.